going to start talking about a lady who is an instructor of mine and also an artist that I admire called Marla Panko. And I'm going to be running through a selection of her abstract paintings as examples.
So I'm going to just scroll through some of her work and then I'm going to pick one and just talk about it. So I'm just kind of pulled up some of my favorites because I like the ones that are a bit more colorful. So this one I just love because I love that white outline that she did. So there is a cheat way of doing this. She did this with a very fine paintbrush, and I know how long she took on this, but if you like the white or black outline approach, there is a slight cheat that I'm going to share in the notes, and they're called Posca Markers, and they are paint pens, and you can order one at a time. You can buy them anywhere. Amazon has them, and they're like paint in a pen, and they'll cover anything. And I have the full, all of the colors, but I've built it up slowly. But the white one would achieve this kind of thing. So you could do all of your painting. Don't worry about the lines joining up. And then you could do that white Posca marker on top afterwards. And then after you varnish it, you can also use, it doesn't work as well, but you can also use like a whiteout pen, you know, a correction pen. But I just love this one because of the color placement. I mean, it's basically the primary colors, but then she's done tint, tone, and shade. So she's added white, gray, and black to the colors, but she's also mixed the colors with each other as well. So, but can you see how the shapes are all slightly varying in color? You know, they're really interesting shapes. I'm going to explain exactly how to do this, how they kind of weave in and out, how they create kind of layers, that kind of thing. So I'm going to show you some more of hers. I mean, she's been in galleries all over.
What did you call those pens?
Poscas. So I'm going to put the link in they're called Posca Markers.
Okay. I didn't
they're
about her name.
They're about $8 for one. But they're like a paint, and when you apply, and the nice thing is a water based, so you can wipe it off, but if you let it dry, then you can varnish on top and it just dries exactly like paint. So they're good for like really fine detail work where you just can't get your brush in there, like little black or white things. So even if you just buy black and white. So this is she's added a little bit of fabric to this one. So she's incorporated some fabric in this one. And then this is one using some really cool shapes and lines. But you see how she's used a very limited palette and done the tint, tone, and shade. So you could incorporate fabric or colored papers. You know, you can get those books of like different nice kind of scrapbooking papers. You could incorporate that as well. So this is her work. As I say, she's very well known. She's been in a lot of galleries, and this is she can paint photographic quality. She can paint any kind of style you can think of, but this is the style that I know she enjoys. So I'm going to put some examples. So this is similar to the style that I've been painting when I was in her courses. So next week I'm going to, well, in the original advertisement, I shared with you some of my paintings based on this style. So it's kind of a cubism type style. Reminds me of that kind of 1920s art, you know. That's pure black. This is an interesting one because you can see all the different values. You know, I'm always going on about values from 0 to 9. You can see all those values, and she's just used warm and cool grays. That's an interesting one. Again, more simple. But you see how if I move my mouse around, can you see the mouse? You see the mouse wiggling around? So you see how she never cuts a circle exactly in half. But when she does put a line through, she continues the line outside of the shape into another shape. A lot of her lines link up. So you see this line coming down, then cut across this oval shape. Some of her lines will weave into a shape and then out of a shape, or she'll mimic a line around another shape. So that's what we're going to be having some fun with today. Fun with shapes. This is another one I really like. This is Ken, my husband, sitting at his piano in abstract form. It just came up with some shapes that I was influenced by the piano, but I didn't want it to look exactly like a piano. I just wanted it to look like shapes that would give you the idea of a piano. But you see how I've got this line running all the way across, and it's just broken up the shapes, and I've just adjusted the colors accordingly. I picked one color that I really liked, which was kind of this, but a darker tealish. And then I just used Tintonet shade black and white, and then I used cream instead of pure white. So I just wanted to show you this one as an example of something. If you wanted to look a little bit more like something familiar, you could do. But this was kind of an initial sketch that I developed and worked on over time. But today we are just going to focus on 3 circles and using a ruler and create our shapes that way. It's important to have a little bit of room outside of the square so you can make notes. I think I'm going to use Sharpie just so you can see it. But 3 squares, 8 by 8. So we want to go slightly off center with our line. We're not going to keep all the lines. We're going to erase some of them. 4 or 5 lines. So they're not going to be kind of exactly in the middle or symmetrical. We're just going to do some interesting lines, and you can also use like the width of the ruler. A few close together. So these are my 3 objects. And I mean, you could just see where they land and draw around them wherever they land. I would recommend that one of them is whole, like you see the whole thing, but maybe the other 2 are not fully on the page. Draw around them. And this is just a practice, so there are no rights or wrongs with this. This is how we're going to learn. So I just wanted you to have a look at it and see how this is how she would start out. You see how she's drawn those circles and shapes, but then she's erased some parts so that you can't see the entire shape. So she's kind of like deleted some lines, put them back in, you know, so you can see how they kind of feel like they're layered. So we're going to totally work on shapes right now, and then we're going to look at color. I do want to have a little bit of a frame around my picture, so I don't want like all of my shapes to go right to the edges. I want to leave a few spaces. So I'm going to start looking at how I can get some cool shapes by erasing some lines. And as I say, this is kind of trial and error. What we want to do is try and eliminate some of the really, really tiny shapes because they're going to be really hard to paint anyway. So I'm going to erase this little space here because that's going to be really tricky to paint. But already you see how it looks like it's kind of going through on top by erasing that line. It looks like it's going on top of this line. And then you can always put some extra lines in if you think, oh, I feel like it's missing something. here I might do 2, but again, they don't have to fit exactly inside. I could have a circle kind of bumping into another circle like this.
Oh, yeah.
Once you are happy with your design, start going over all of your shapes with a softer pencil such as a 5B or 6B. The next thing we're going to do is hold the paper up to a window and trace the design onto the back, and then flip it around the other way, put it onto our canvas and rub against our lines to transfer the pencil marks onto our canvas.
My teacher at art school, this is her, one of her paintings. Her name is Marla Panko, and she does a lot of galleries, exhibits with abstract painting using limited palette, tint, tone, and shade. And I just wanted you to see how, so she starts out with just some simple shapes, and then she kind of weaves them under each other and overlaps. Right. And where there's overlaps, she changes the color slightly using either tint, tone, or shade. And it's very limited palette, but she gets these really interesting shapes. So the beginning of the video, which you'll get, will be explaining all of the theory behind it. But that's where we're up to. So what we've done is we have sketched it on a piece of paper. Now, because I wanted mine to be really abstract, I just flipped it and rubbed it onto my canvas on my piano player, my color triangle. So I've got my black, 1, 2, 3, my white, 1, 2, 3, my beige, 1, 2, 3. You see how I've done it? This green, 1, 2, 3. And then the I just added like a flash of color of this blue. I did put it in here, but these are okay touching because they're very similar. You see how I did the color triangles? White, 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 black, black, black. So that's kind of what you want to do when you're working out your triangles. So we've got half an hour left. If you are itching to start painting, we can put a little bit of paint down. So it's important to have your color scheme figured out. This is the color I'm going to be using for, because this is a fairly close match. So this is aqua green that I'm going to be using for this. So because these are my 3 darkest ones, I'm going to start with my aqua green by adding a little bit of black to it. So I'm going to have 3 shades of aqua green. I might do 1 pure and then 2 darker with a bit of black in for my 3 spaces. When you start painting this, I would recommend either an angled brush or a flat brush, depending on the shape of your spaces. So this is my aqua green with a fair amount of black in it. You'll find with, especially on this size, most of the time goes into the planning. Once you've planned it all out, the painting side's quite straightforward.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm just doing this so you know what to do in your own time. So I've done three darks, 1, 2, 3, and then I've done 3 of my greens, 1, 2, 3, and now I'm doing 3 adding white to my green, and they're going to get lighter each time. So again, just doing those triangles. So just remember tint, tone, shade. Tints adding white, tones adding gray, shades adding black. And I'm trying to evenly space them out. So I'm gonna do, this is with white. Actually, that's not light enough. The tints need to be very subtle, like not too strong. This is probably the darkest I'm going to go with the tint.
What are the range of values that you're using?
So I'm going to try and do, so I've started with dark, then I've done my pure color, adding a little bit of dark to the pure color. Now I'm doing my pure color with white, but I want, when I finish my paint, and I want the value scale of 0 to 9. So I want all of the values starting with like my lightest right down to my darker. So you want a whole spectrum of values. So if you were to photocopy it in black and white, you'd have all the shades of gray.
Okay.
So you just want to work your way up and down the value scale. So you've got the almost white, almost black, but the rest you can play with it by adding grays, whites, blacks. So just one color, grays, whites, black. And as long as you stick to that and group them in 3s, really can't go wrong.
Julie, how do I transfer it to the canvas?
So what we did was we just, if you don't mind it being a reverse image, you can just make sure you've gone over your lines with a thick, soft pencil, put it on your canvas, and then just rub it with a pencil, like scribble over your lines, and it will transfer. If you don't want it to be a mirror image, hold this up onto a window. So use a window like a light box. Tape it to the window, draw over your lines on the other side of the paper, then flip it back and then scribble over the front side.
I have to number them to make sure I cluster the in pencil.
Yeah,
So
but painted.
yeah, so that I do work out the clustering.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to painting. I don't even know what time it is. But
It's we've got 8 minutes left, so we're almost done. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I got an appointment this afternoon, so I don't know if I should get all started because
I know.
you wanna block
I
the
have
time,
to.
but you want to block.
I have my next class too. I teach at the senior center.
Oh, yeah. How's that going?
Great, yeah. Yeah, really enjoying it. Some amazing artists there.
Yes. Well, I think the clustering will help me because then I'll figure out, like, because if you want small, medium, large for each one and you want them clustered, so that sort of helps make the decision.
Yeah.
I was going to say, so about how many clusters? Is it depending on how busy it is, I guess?
Yeah, I would, if it starts looking to, so start by thinking 9. So you want 3 darks, 3 of your dominant color, and then 3 tints. So 3 darks, 3 dominant color, and 3 plus white. Start with 9 shapes. So just paint your 9 shapes. Then you can start adding gray to your color. So 3 more. And then see how it looks. If it looks busy like that, start merging shapes together.
So basically it's 3 different colors in 3 different clusters.
Yeah.
9, like a type 9 sort of thing.
Yeah.
9
Yeah.
spots.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then you could leave some just white or black.
Yeah. You could do white and black. Yeah.
Okay. Or you could just have a sort of like a background, like a frame.
Yeah.
One different color, like maybe just a soft color that doesn't detract.
Yeah.
Like you know, you have the beige sort of as
Yeah.
like a frame almost.
Yeah.
I guess it's you just paint it and as you go and change it as you go.
Yeah. Don't
Adapt
worry
as you
too
go.
much about this plan is to help you. It's not meant to restrict you. You know, you can change it as you go.
Okay.
So I think we're almost up on time. So if you have any questions before we part company today, fire away. And I will be sending you the recording after my class tonight.
Yeah.
So this is just pure gray. This is just black and white. This is like no color added at all. You could put in a little hint of your teal or whatever color you're using, but this is just gray. And I'm going to do 3 of these, all slightly different values of gray. We're going to make sure they're all spaced out. If it's easier, do your black, whites, and grays first. Don't add any color in. I did some color first so I could kind of work around them and work out where I was going to put in my... I would recommend you keep the intensity in the middle and make the outside shapes subtle, like very subtle color changes and more on the lighter scale.
Well, start with your darkest, your 3 darkest.
I started with my darkest, yeah.
And those were sort of more in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Right? Yes. Okay.
Yeah. Because you want to keep the eye in the middle of your painting. You don't want to make people start looking kind of around the edges. You want to bring the focus to the middle.
Okay.
So I have to go in about 1 minute. It is kind of quite restful. Like once you start painting, you can get quite lost in it. Put on some favorite tunes and can be very therapeutic because you're just painting shapes. And I say only you knows what you want it to look like at the end.
Continue to fill in the rest of the shapes in your own time. Feel free to delete or add some white lines, black lines. Have fun with it, enjoy, and don't forget to share with me your finished pieces next week. Thanks for watching.